All right. Loved ones in Christ Jesus, connect with me. This is Henry Duodu Appiahkorang on my podcast, Isaiah Discussions. And today we are going to have very important and very um, revelatory discussions about music, about several important topics. And I believe that today we're going to learn a lot from our special guest today. So, without wasting much time, we would like to know who our special guest is today. Can we tell us a little more about you?
Certainly. Well, my name is Jay Davids, and I am a worship recording artist located in Pennsylvania, U.S. And I've been doing this for quite a few years as a worship leader, working in the church and working just in my local areas wherever I happen to be living at the time. And um, in the past couple of years, God's really put it in me to do more with it and to really press in to the songwriting and to press into um, making a more of an impact with my mission and with my message. So that's kind of what I'm all about is pursuing what God's put in me to pursue, which I'm sure we'll get to talk more about that.
Um, are you a Christian? Can we find how do you become a Christian? And if you're a Christian, who is a Christian? And can you tell us more about your little background into Christianity? Since I think your music is about Christianity, right?
It is. It is. So I grew up in church. My family always served in church, on a weekly basis. Um, and when you come up that way, it's easy to just feel like you were born a Christian. Um, but there came a point in what I would call my come to Jesus moment where I know that God spoke to me, where He became real to me, and that was about when I was 17 years old. Um, and the the testimony is that I was I was actually pursuing the rock and roll dream. I was playing music in various, you know, clubs and bars and school and all these different locations playing rock and roll and having a wonderful time. But um, God had a call on my life, and found myself one evening um, in a coffee house, a place where they were serving coffee and desserts, and there was a band playing music, and found that I was just being drawn in, and that turned into a worship session because the whole band was Christians, and the establishment was Christian, and this was an outreach for them. And God just got a hold of me that night, and never looked back. And so that was my the moment what I feel like when I really became what God wanted me to be, as far as a Christian. So yeah, I am a Christian. I was raised within the church, but since that's probably a good 30 years ago now, I've been pursuing God, and I've been through it. I've been through a lot of different things in my life, struggles and the ups and downs of life, and loss and heartache and all those different things that come with life. But always maintaining and staying with God, and continuing to pursue Him.
Well, that's great, Jay out there. So, Jay, if we can know much, um, what really inspired you to sing, and what is your creative process when creating music? What is your creative in recording, in creating music? What is the process you normally pass through to come with the music, Jay?
So my process, I think it's pretty typical. So each song is unique in how it comes about, but generally speaking, I would say the creative process. Well, so there's two processes you're asking about. There's the creative process and then the recording process, and those are two distinct things in my world. Um, the creative process is often there may be, I would love to say that I wait for some kind of inspiration to strike, but I've been doing this too long to be able to say that with any integrity. This writing is a skill, and it is something I've worked hard on, and it's something I work at daily. So I have a notebook full of ideas. I have a notebook full of little inspirations, and on those days when I'm not necessarily feeling inspired, I can turn through that booklet and I can um, find this idea or that idea that I had at some random moment when I was maybe driving to work or something like that. And then I take the time and I just explore those thoughts and I write down ideas around that theme, and it all has become very organic, but it's definitely a method that I go through. It's there's an idea. I try to find a phrase um, that I can turn within that idea, and then it's just poetry in a lot of ways. And then the initial thought gets completed, whether that's a verse or a chorus or an entire song. Sometimes it comes quickly, and then over the next days, there is quite literally a self editing that happens of, I don't like this word, or I don't like that word, or I want to say something slightly different, and making sure everything is still pointing the direction that it originally started. So um, it it is quite a process, but from start to finish, some songs can take, it seems like, hours. In fact, there's several songs that I would say only took hours to create, but then there's some that I've been working on for years. Um, so that's the creative process. As far as the recording process and the production process, there's I'm an audio engineer by trade, so that's something I've kind of been doing for my entire adult life, even my teenage years. Um, so I have a recording studio in my home. I can simply pull out a guitar or pull out a keyboard and plug in and hit record and go um, and go through that. But when it comes down to that, that's usually on the demo level of things where I just need to get an idea out. When it comes to creating a professional level, high production value recording like what I've had lately, I go and I work with professionals that are in the field. I work with some guys from the Nashville Christian Songwriters Collective, and that's where I've been getting my stuff produced and working with them a lot. And they're excellent, and so that's a high caliber musician. Those are guys that play on albums that you've probably heard, a lot of them, and you don't know their names simply because that's what they do as their job. So, and that process is a whole nother level than what I do here at the house, obviously. But yeah, that's how the process goes. It's is You start in your living room, and then you create something that you can show to somebody, and then that somebody takes that and turns it into something absolutely amazing, and you end up with that final result. So, does that answer your question on that?
Whoa, that's very detailed out here. Actually, I was listening to your song. It was all you along. I really love that music, and I was asking
Oh,
myself,
thank you.
"Wow, such such a powerful melody, such a powerful tone, such a powerful words that you can feel. I can feel deep within my heart." So that I think that we can promote your music with my latest music. I'll try and then promote your music to my subscribers. It's very, very powerful, very, very inspiring, very, very enlightening to my soul. So I think I really love that music. Sometimes, to I myself, I get songs through dreams. While I'm asleep, I hear like people singing. I don't know whether it's either they are angels or so. I hear a kind of music in my soul while I'm asleep. When I wake up, I try to record all those songs on my phone. So as at now, I have not more than 10 songs that I heard from the dream, whether they are from angels, from the Holy Spirit. I don't know, but they're very, very inspiring. So I think maybe from here we can collaborate. Since you are an engineer, maybe you can help me. Maybe I'll sing the song. You give maybe a sound to record it, and maybe we can know what how far we can go. Jay. All right. So
I
that
love
was
it.
just by the way. That was just by the way. But I really love your song. It's
Thank you.
all you along. I really love that music. I love that particular music. So,
That's that
Jay,
song is one of
um,
my favorites.
whoa, that's powerful. That's powerful. That's really powerful. So Jay, um, can you can you tell us some of your musical, like your people who influences you in the music industry? Can you tell us some of your influences that really inspire you to sing? Can you tell us some?
Yeah, so growing up, I grew up on in a place called Long Island, New York, and it was a very music rich musical landscape. Um, there was a heavy influence from people like Billy Joel. He's from Long Island, so he was kind of a part of everyday life. So that's probably a lot of what you hear in that. It was you all along is a big Billy Joel piano man type of influence. Um, but that growing up around that, it just kind of led me to excellent music. And so I have a wide range of influences, both Christian and secular. I'm a big fan of Stevie Ray Vaughan and his style of blues. I'm a big fan of in the Christian music field, like the Stephen Curtis Chapman and that whole there's a whole range of artists there. Um, it's never I've never rejected music, and what I mean by that is there's nothing that I went, oh, I won't listen to that style of music, because my criteria, it's almost as if I'm interested in what different people and different styles and different cultures even are doing musically. I love classical music. I love jazz. I love the blues. I love rock and roll. I even love bluegrass and Western music, country music. There's so many different influences musically because I'm a student in that I believe that they all have something valuable to offer, um, and so it's difficult to pick out one artist or a couple artists because there have been so many in my grounding of music, in my the foundation of my music.
All right, all right. So Jay, so if I can ask if there is a chance, who would you like to collaborate with to sing with? Is if there's a chance that opens for you, collaborate to
So
sing with.
to collaborate with, I would, I used to. It's kind of a funny question. As a young man, I always wanted, like, some of the men I mentioned, like Steve. I know he's passed away long ago, but like, I would love to have been able to collaborate with Stevie Ray Vaughan. I think that would be so much fun. But in to be realistic about people who are still here and among us, I would love to work with a like, even now, Stephen Curtis Chapman. I think he's an amazing artist. I would love to have a chance to work with him. Or on the worship side of things, I would love to work with a Brandon Lake or a Phil Wickham. I think that those guys are absolutely doing amazing things in the worship field. Um, so yeah, that's a couple people that I would love to be able to collaborate with. I've actually been able to have some collaborations with my contacts through Nashville, with some notable songwriters, and that's been such an amazing experience, to write with people who have, you know songs that are incredibly popular, songs that I listened to growing up, and I come to find out that this person wrote it, and I'm sitting across the table from them writing a song. That's an amazing thing. So I love collaboration. That's one of um, my new favorite things to do, is to get in the room with other artists and other songwriters, and to create something together. I think that's a that's a fantastic thing to do.
Well, that's powerful, Jay David out there. So, Jay, can you share with us some of your challenges you've encountered in your music career, and how you overcame? Have you ever faced some challenges in some of your music career, and how did you overcome, Jay?
So the biggest challenge I think that I face um, is the is keeping the momentum going. And what I mean by that is it's the daily wake up and do the work even if you don't see results. That is the biggest challenge for me because um, you have to keep sowing those seeds even though you're not seeing a harvest yet. You have to keep pouring into it every day in order to for there to one day. It's like the scripture says you keep casting your bread on the water and soon it'll come back. Well, there's a lot of days where you're just casting the bread out on the water and you're waiting and you're hoping to see it kind of roll back. And so that's the biggest challenge, and the way to overcome that is simply um to keep going, to not necessarily trust what you're seeing, but to trust that God is working and that he's got something, that you're it's faith. You're trusting in God to for the increase, for God to make something happen. And I'm not talking. It's not purely success is not purely financial, especially in Christian music. Success is did this song touch someone's life, and I may not know for years if a song that I wrote affected somebody's life. But I have to just keep going, keep being faithful, keep taking the steps every day, and trusting that the God who called me is completing the work.
Oh, that's great, Jay David. I myself, I'm an author. Sometimes I do write many books, but still, I don't see the result of that. I keep writing, I keep writing. So, as you said, we keep sowing the seeds, and then at the right time, the harvest will just come, because it's a season that God normally rains His blessing upon our seeds. So David, how do you analyze that the internet trying to is it trying to downplay music, trying to upgrade music? So how is the internet impacting music industry? Eh,
Oh, the internet! My gosh, it has made the world a very small place, hasn't it? Um, like for example, you're in Africa and I am in the U.S. and we're speaking as if we're in the next room. It has made the world such a small place, and it has expanded my ability to reach people and with the message God's given me. And to me, um, that's huge. It used to be that only the people could that I physically sat in front of would hear my song or my message, and now it's the potential is literally the world. And I think it's an amazing opportunity.
so, meaning that the internet has really boosted the music industry, right?
I believe it has. It, like I said, it just the way it has made the world such a small place has made it kind of leveled everything out, where people who didn't necessarily have a reach in in physical, like if I wasn't playing in front of 5,000 people today, I can still potentially reach 5,000 on on the internet. It's an amazing thing.
Well, that's great, Jay Davis. So, Jay, how do you personally handle criticism? How do you handle rejection on your music? How do you handle that, Jay?
It's a good question. I don't like either, if I'm honest. But you know, not my music is not going to be everyone's style. It's not my message is not going to be something that resonates with everybody, and I understand that. Um, and I think I've just learned to be okay with that. Um, as far as rejection goes, I have to remember, or I try to remember that. Um, they're they're not necessarily rejecting my message or who I am. They may just be having a bad moment. They might be having a bad day, or it could be that they're just the timing's not right for that person to receive that message. So, um, I don't think anyone. You have to be gracious with rejection, or find a way to be gracious, I should say. Uh, it's and that's not an easy thing, especially for musicians. I mean, we tend to wear our emotions on our sleeves. We want everyone to love us, but I think that's pretty a natural thing that you want to feel loved and appreciated. And sometimes that's just not the way it is. So we have to you just kind of chalk that up to, well, I guess that's okay. It's more of an acceptance and moving on. That's the way to deal with it. Accept it, and the just that's just what it is.
All right. I think I believe that criticisms can help us know our errors and try to correct, because we have destructive criticisms. We have what we call corrective criticism. So we rather learn from what people try. People try to criticize out of jealousy. Some try to
Mm.
criticize out of maybe a good concern. So I believe that we can check through their criticisms, whether it is destructive or constructive. Then we pick our errors and try to correct them. Then we ignore the ones that are trying to downplay our life. As an author, I'm an author. People do criticize me, some also praise me. So I learn from what others said, and I take the lesson to correct my errors in the next book I write. So,
That's an excellent
David,
point.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So Jay, moving forward to our question, how do you balance your personal life with your music career? Are you married? Like, are you are married? Do you have a personal profession that you venture into? And how do you balance that with your personal life attached to your music career, Jay?
So yes, I am married. I have two. I have six children altogether. Four of them are my own, and two are my stepchildren. Um, and balancing personal and, I'll just call it work life, because not everything I do is music, but not everything I do is Jay David's music either. So it, it's it's very important to give time for your family. You can't spend all the the temptation when you do something like what I do is that you can just keep pouring and pouring and pouring into it. Um, and that lasts for a little while, but there comes a time when you need to step away and rest, and your family needs to feel that balance and that attention. So what I try to do is I don't I feel like I've achieved a pretty good balance of my work life versus my home life, in that um, there's there's time set aside. It's scheduled time. It's not always the same, but life can be so busy that if you don't prioritize um, your family, things will just get away from you. So I am I was divorced. I was married for 20 years, my first marriage, and that's a whole part of my story. It's all part of my history. And I was divorced and I was single again for a while, and now I'm married again. And um, going through that will teach you how to um, will teach you what you did wrong. I tend to be an introspective person. I want to analyze my part and my failures and understand so that I don't mess it up again. Um, and so having being that this is my second family uh, that I'm with now, it is it's imperative to me that I don't make those same mistakes again, that I don't put work above family, that I don't, um, that I do make the time, I should say, that I keep that as a priority, and that's really what it has to be. You have to just set the priority and keep it. A lot of people tend to, they say it's a priority, but they don't act on the priority. And if you're not acting on it, it's not really a priority. So I think that's the key. To balance it all out, you need to schedule it. You need to set the time. Like, okay, I am not available. If you look at my calendar, I am not available um, at dinner time. I'm not available from 6 p.m. Until about 8 p.m. On any given evening because I'm with my family. I'm going to spend my time with have dinner together and those types of things. We as a family prioritize that. So I think that's the key is acting on and scheduling and keeping your priorities your first thing the first thing.
All right, Jay, that's a great out there. So there is time for family, there's time for the music, art, and so uh,
Yep.
that's how it goes. So Jay, how do you stay motivated and inspired to create music? How do you do it?
So it's the little things. It's that waking up, and I mean, you don't have to do it in the morning, but it's that routine of I'm gonna be in the Word. I'm gonna spend time with God. For me, that's where the motivation begins. Um, is to I love music. I would do music if I didn't get paid. In fact, I've done music for many years without getting paid. Um, and the motivation for being a musician is simply that it is something that I'm passionate about. I've always loved doing it, but doing it at this level requires additional. You have to be able to uh, maintain. You have to be able to continue, and so the additional motivation for that is, I believe, in remembering this mission, remembering what God's put in me and what God's called me to. I don't believe that anything is by accident. So um, to keep myself motivated, to inspired. Sometimes inspiration takes a while. Sometimes it's far away, and so like I said earlier, I have that booklet that I'll pull out for my songwriting, and it reminds me of these different ideas, and that ignites that passion all over again for that idea. Like I'll be reading through, and all of a sudden something just pops out at me, and suddenly there's inspiration there. It rises up. And another thing that really helps staying motivated is when you look at the successes. When you sit for a moment and you look back and you say, "Hey, um, I was at this point A and now I'm at point D, and look at all that's happened between A and D." And and now I can look forward with this hope and now I know that I'm going to get to point F or point G. I'm just going to be able to keep going. And so that success keeps you motivated, but success only comes when you keep doing the work even when you don't see the success. Does that make sense?
Oh, it's very, very, very deep out there, Jay. You so very, it's very, very deep. Keep sowing the seeds, and then, as I said earlier, that I'm also an author, so sometimes I sometimes become discouraged, but who knows? I just keep writing, just keep writing, just keep writing. I believe that one day, I'm going to reap what I sow. So
Hmm.
as the Lord goes in that way, uh, God is going to work it out. If God actually work it out, the season is a time, as the Bible says that to everything there is a time, there's a season. So even when we plant maybe a mango seed, there's a time come that the seed will grow, will become very big, and the seed will just bring out. So I believe
Amen.
that it's a time for sowing. At the sowing, you might not see the seed out there, but when the seed dies and it receives water, as keep on watering the seed, keep on watering the seed, the right time will come where we shall see our good works as it goes. So, Jay, We also like to know what is your favorite music that you
Hmm.
like to perform, and why do you love to perform that particular favorite song, Jay?
Favorite song or favorite musician?
I mean, your favorite song, and then
Okay.
yeah, your favorite song, and why do you love to perform that particular song in that arena? And also, after answering that, who is your most favorite musician, and why do you love that musician? It's a two questions move together.
That that is a very hard question to answer for me. I have so many songs that so I was talking to a friend the other day, and the idea that we talked about was we love all this different music. We have so many different styles and so many different things that we enjoy. Um, and each one is unique and comes alive. And when it comes alive is when I'm in it. When it suddenly I'm identifying with it. It could be in the middle of a worship service. It could be in the middle of a concert. It could just be me sitting at home playing the guitar with my wife or my kids, sitting around, or just me by myself. But in that moment when a song really like it begins to pierce my heart and pierce that shell, that in that moment is my favorite song. And I don't mean that to sound like a cop out. I know you want like a, name this song or that song. And I'll give you one. But there's so many. I just wanted to preface that. My favorite song over the last several years was a song called Firm Foundation. Um, and it is I think it's Cody Carnes, I believe, is who did that song. But it is a song that has become a theme in my life, like an anthem. And because the words are, Christ is my firm foundation, the rock on which I stand when everything around me is shaking. I've never been so glad. I've got my faith in Jesus. It's such affirmation of God, and that He is my everything. He is the thing that I stand on, and that I won't be shaken. So that is my favorite song, and has been for quite a while. But um, yeah, like I said, there's other songs that in various moments in my life that have been just come alive for me. So that changes, it shifts. um, as far as the my favorite musician goes, I'm a little bit old school. I think I would, if I had nothing else going on, and I'm just going to find something that is a comforting place to listen to music, I'm going to be putting on um, probably Stevie Ray Vaughan, and listening to some from the Double Trouble era, and listening to that rock and roll blues. I just love that music. It's just comforting to me, and it's just fun.
So, um, Jay, um, we also like to know what is the best advice um, have you been given in your life since you started maybe the ministry? Can you share some with us? The best advice you receive in life, and maybe you can tell our audience they can pick some lesson from what you receive. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. The best advice that I've ever it's again, you have some uh very good questions that are a little on the tough side to answer. And um there are so many things that have been influential in my life as far as advice that people have given me. um the one that always comes to mind, and this isn't just for musicians, this is just in life, is a man told me that everything you learn cannot be taken away from you. um, Things can be taken away, but if you learn how to do a thing, if you learn how to make a thing, or to build a thing, or to fix a thing, that can never be taken away from you. And um, as simple as that sounds, uh, that's been one of those things that has helped me through different parts of my life where I had need, or I had even if it's as simple as I know how to fix this thing that broke. As simple as that may sound, that enabled me to do something else that I was called to do. And so understanding that no matter what stage of life you're in, no matter where you are, and what thing that you're working on, for lack of a better word, or lack of a better phrase, that the thing you're doing is something that you can keep with you forever. It's something that you can learn from. It's something that you can uh, utilize in life moving forward. And it's something, and nobody can ever take it away from you. It is in you now. It's something you've learned how to do, and it's something that's in you now, and it will always be in you. And it's something that you can then pass on to somebody else who needs it. So that has enabled me in so many areas of my life to be blessed and to be a blessing to others. Just remembering that everything I do, and it kind of also, it helps me fight against those things that I don't want to do.
Very
Like
so.
the things,
Mm-hmm.
does that make sense? The things that I don't necessarily want to learn how to do, if I learn how to do it, I can, that can never be taken from me. It works even on the negative. So it's been
Oh,
great advice.
yeah, yeah. I also trust that very powerful point out there. That it is what you know that you act upon. It's like our mind is like an engine. So it's the information that you feed on that you are able to work upon. So it's a very great advice out there. So Jay, can you also know that what advice would you give to incoming musicians, artists who want to enter into the Christian music industry? Because people want to become, I know some people, they say that, oh, for Christian music, if you enter, there is no money. They want to enter into the secular world where they can get famous, they can get money, rich very early. So, what advice will you give to incoming artists, incoming musicians who want to enter into the Christian music industry?
For Christian musicians specifically, I would say, um, keep your mission first and foremost. Don't don't let, the temptation is to put the art first, or to put the music first, um, and the mission, which is what God has given you, needs to be the primary focus. The other stuff is supportive to it. The the all the art, the songwriting, the recording, all that stuff, the performance, the concerts, all that is subsequent to the mission. So keep the first thing the first thing. Always focus on the mission. People will gather behind a mission. People will rally behind it. And that's where the focus should stay, is on your mission. For example, my mission it is music related, but it's not as obvious as anyone may think. My mission is based in the scripture in Malachi, where God talks about restoring fathers to children and children to fathers. Um, and I have felt this draw and this call and I'm not anything special. I'm simply trying to fulfill the call that God put on me. And so, but there's healing and restoration that God wants to do in people's lives. Um, God is a restoring God, and He wants to rebuild, where the enemy has destroyed. He wants um, to take those people who have broken lives, and you might be broken by divorce, you might be broken by heartache, or you might be destitute, you might be financially, you might be on the streets, you might be homeless, you might be, there's so many different ways that brokenness can happen. But God's heart is for restoration, and that is my mission, is to encourage that, to share that, to demonstrate the restoration that God has done in my life to the people that God puts me in front of. And to give them hope that He can do that for them as well. So as long as you keep your mission first and foremost, everything else kind of falls into place. But that mission has to be a God-given mission. But keep that first, and everything else will kind of fall into place. That's probably the best advice that I would give for a Christian musician coming into the industry.
Well, that's very great out there. But aside maybe a Christian music, do you have another advice maybe for those who are going on Christian? Maybe I'm a fan of Christian music, but I don't know whether maybe the Westlife and all those. I don't know more about that. So how would you also advise those who want to enter into those arenas as well? Is there any advice for them?
For I didn't catch the it broke up for a moment. So advice for people not outside of the Christian industry?
Yep. Yeah.
Okay. Um so for just musicians in general or artists in general, my advice is to find people that you can trust to work with, collaborate. Um don't don't just don't you don't have to do it alone, but you should also not throw your money away with people that are simply saying that they can help you. There's a lot of charlatans out there who just want to take your money and tell you that this is what you're supposed to do, but they don't actually do anything for you. But if you have something worthwhile, then you need to find someone who is a trustworthy advisor, and that's hard to do. That takes research, that takes work, and it takes some trial and error. But find someone that is trusted, not just someone who's trying to sell you their wares on the internet. You need to find someone who's got a track record and get them to work with you, mentor with them. Uh, I'm a big believer in apprenticeship or mentorship relationships. That is the best way to have success in the music industry.
Well, that's great out there, Davis. But I'm more interested into the Christian music scene because they are the ones who really inspired us in the faith. So
Mm.
Jay, we all know that music has the power to change our belief system. Music has the power to change our ideology. Music has the power to change our philosophy to even make us how we act because it is what we hear that controls you. So in the power of music, you are being educated, you are being transformed, you are being influenced, you are being controlled through music. So if we can ask, if you are given a chance maybe to change maybe the music industry, maybe the music section, what will you do about the music industry or about the music arena in that way, Jay?
I think the the thing I don't know how to change some things, but the thing that I wish was different is I wish it's I wish people were, and I think this just is all around. This is just this is not just music industry, but this is just life. I think, but specifically the music industry, I wish people were uh, more honest on the low end. And what I mean by that is, um, there's a lot of people like the last thing I spoke about. There's a lot of people trying to sell a dream to young and inexperienced musicians, and I wish that there was just more honesty in that, because it's hard to put this graciously. There's some people who are very good and very talented, and they should be doing music, and there's some people who they probably shouldn't be, and there's got to be someone to tell them honestly that they should or shouldn't be doing it. And that goes for any industry. Like if you're not good at if you're not good at building, at swinging a hammer to build something, you probably shouldn't have a construction business. Um, but you have to have someone honest enough to be real with you and say, this is not your gift. This let's help you find what is your gift. But honestly, that really in my mind comes back to almost a lack, at least in my culture here, of father of fathers, of that influence of the father showing you and helping you to find what you're supposed to be in your life. And I know that maybe that's a cultural thing. I believe, I don't think that's necessarily everywhere, but I do believe that there a lot of people are pursuing things that are simply a dream, but they have no basis in their gifts and their abilities. And some honesty in industry would be the thing that I would change. Like, And that's going to cause some rejection, and I understand that, but it's also going to cause a lot of people to not be pursuing something they shouldn't be pursuing. And I think that would save a lot of people some heartache. Just do the thing
Bro,
that you're made for.
that's great out of there. So Jay, um, if you want to just sum up what you want to say. So, is there any question I couldn't ask you that you want to add up to our discussion today? You want to ask something I couldn't ask you, but you have something that is touching your heart to share with our audience today. You are free to share with our audience.
Okay. Well, so I touched on it a little bit. My mission is the thing that's big on my heart all the time, and that is a story and the message of restoration that God has for His people, and He wants to bring healing to the hurting. He wants to bring dead things back to life. He wants to rebuild the broken, and that's the main thing that I want to share. I would love everyone to go check out my music. I just released a song called "Free Indeed" back in November, which is a high energy, funky praise and worship song. I've got another one that actually is going to release on January 17th, which is next Friday, as of this recording, and I say that's called "I Say Yes," and "I Say Yes" is just a wonderful. Um, it's it's a song that speaks of the faith that rises up in us when we say yes to Jesus, and how He can take us from our dirt and from our brokenness, and put us and then take us and make us into what He wants us to be when we say yes, and the faith that rises up in that moment. And so I would love for everyone to go check that out. Check out my social media. Jay David's Music is where you can find all things related to me. I'm on YouTube under Jay David's Music, um, and on all, Facebook and Instagram. I'm also on X, and I'm on TikTok as long as it lasts. And but yeah, go check those things out. Follow me, and I would love for you to check out my music as it becomes available.
All right. So you want to take your time, Jay Davis. Please take your time and then let people know where we can find you. Do you have a website? You have a blog? So please take your time. People might be writing it down. So you tell us maybe you have a blog, a website, your username for the Facebook, on YouTube, on Twitter, so that they can follow you and then check out your music. And so please tell us where you can find you.
Yeah. So my website is www.jdavids.com. And you can find links to everything there, all my music, all my new music that's coming out. On YouTube, you'll search for Jay David's Music. It's youtube.com and /@ Jay David's Music. On Instagram, it's also Jay David's Music, JayDavids Music. And on Facebook, it's also that. So those are all the different places that you can find me. I've got lyric videos and music videos on YouTube that you can check out. Got some clips from other podcasts that I've been doing lately, talking to different people about my mission and about what God's doing in my ministry. And yeah, that's the best places to find that is to start. You can start at the website www.jaydavids.com.
All right. That is how we end our discussion today. This is your host, Henry Duodu Appiahkorang, on my podcast, Isaiah Discussions. And today I have with me Jay David, who is a musician, particularly into the Christian arena. As I said, they can I really listen to his music. It is titled, I think it's all. Can you please write me? It's all about you, right? It's all down to you. That's the music I really love about him. So that's how we end